It gives me immense pleasure to introduce myself. I'm Raghu, Assistant Professor of English, School of Sciences and Humanities, SR University, which is located in Warangal, Telangana. In the previous video lectures, I have already mentioned that I would like to prepare a series of lectures on Indian knowledge system, and I have already completed 2 video lectures. And first, we'll have a recapitulation of them. Then we will proceed to the topic number 3. So let us recapitulate the previous lessons. Lesson number 1, basic view of Indian knowledge system. Under the canopy of this lesson 1, we have discussed 4 important points. One is, what is IKS? What are the key features of IKS? And what are the sources of knowledge in the ancient times? And what are the significant contributions in ancient India by our ancestors? These are the 4 important points we had a discussion in the previous lecture. Let us briefly discuss our points. What is IKS? Whatever the wisdom and knowledge developed by our ancestors in the ancient times, we call it as Indian knowledge system. It is a responsibility of every Indian citizen to have a basic understanding of our Indian knowledge system, because we used to consider the ancient India as the repository of knowledge. So that is why it is a responsibility of every Indian citizen to have the basic idea of Indian knowledge system. So what are the key features of IKS, which stands for Indian knowledge system? The first important key feature of IKS is nothing but holistic. That means, according to our ancestors, they firmly believe that everything in this universe is interrelated and interconnected. The species on this earth, humans, nature, universe, according to them, everything is interconnected. The best example is nothing but the trees are giving oxygen, which is very much essential for the survival of the human beings. On the other side of the coin, the humans are releasing carbon dioxide, which is essential for the survival of the trees. So this is the firm belief of the ancestors in the ancient times. Everything in this universe is interrelated and interconnected, which means holistic. And point number 2, practical. It is related to ancient education. The ancient education never believed on theoretical learning or rote memorization. Rather, they believe in practical approach or hands-on approach. They believe in learning by doing, learning through actions. So whatever the theory they have learned from gurus, they would like to apply that practically in the real-time situations. This is called experiential learning, experimental learning, through activity-oriented learning. So that is the main approach of the ancient education by our ancestors in regard of our ancient education is concerned. And the third important point, ethical. This is also related to our ancient education system. Okay, our ancestors firmly believed that education is the manifestation of attitude first, rather than just inducing the knowledge in the minds of the Sishyas. They believe that education has to modify their behavior. So the ancient education would not just teach how to live, rather it teaches how rightly live. That is what the importance of ethical values in the ancient education system. And the fourth important feature of IKS, it is nature friendly. They love to live with the nature, they protect the nature. During the ancient times, actually, they were very much interested to develop the small groves also. That is nothing but small forests. And our ancestors used to consider them as god and goddess. In such a way, they protect the nature. They love to live with the nature. But unfortunately, we are away from the nature and came to the cities in the name of development and industrialization. That leads to many health issues. Our ancestors have lived more than 100 years, but now in the modern civilization, we have been facing many health issues even in the young age also because of pollution and global warming. Whenever we are away from the nature. But the ancestors, our ancient people, always love to live with the nature. Okay, they protect the nature. That is the reason they were very healthy and peaceful. And the third important point, what we have discussed under lesson number 1, sources of knowledge. So, what are the different sources of knowledge they have in the ancient times? There are 4 important sources they had to teach to the Sishyas by the Gurus. One is Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, epics. We had 4 Vedas actually. What is the importance of these Vedas? They induce moral values in the students. They are the foundations of the Indian wisdom. Upanishads, they teach self-realization and importance of the truth. Puranas, they narrate the stories with moral values to the children, to the students. And epics like Ramayana, Mahabharata, they teach dharma, non-violence, ahimsa, truthfulness. So these are all the different sources of knowledge we have in the ancient times. What is the fourth important point? We had a discussion in the previous lesson. Significant contributions in ancient India. There was a question by the modern civilized people. What is the contribution of our ancestors? We have to understand one fact, everyone. We are constructing the modern civilization on the foundations of ancient India. If you really want to understand the knowledge of modern civilization, we have to see through the lens of the ancient India. We are constructing modern India on the roots of ancient civilization. We should not forget that fact. Our ancestors have given many significant contributions for our modern civilization. If you take health and fitness, our ancestors firmly believed that healthy body gives healthy mind. That is why they gave utmost priority for yogasanas, yoga. Even in the modern civilization also, we realized the importance of yoga. And the central government of a country has declared one day as a yoga day. There are many people who have realized the significance of yoga for a healthy life, for a peaceful life. Okay, that was practiced by our ancestors during the ancient times. And not only that, they have given very significant contributions to the mathematics and physical sciences. Can you imagine mathematics without having a zero, which was invented by our ancestor Aryabhatta long ago, thousands of years ago? And not only that, their contributions to the astronomy is really remarkable. They proposed 2 theories in the ancient times. One is geocentric theory, second one is heliocentric theory. Geocentric theory has been believed by many ancient people for thousands of years ago. Later, another theory came to existence regarding the universe that is called heliocentric theory. Even now, we are believing heliocentric theory, which means sun is the center of the universe. All the planets are revolving around the sun, including the earth. That is called heliocentric theory. So on the astronomy also, they have laid a very good foundation during the ancient times itself. And not only that, if you take Ayurveda in the ancient time, the greatest achievements by our ancestors is Ayurveda, natural medicine. Even in the modern civilization, also in the recent times, actually, most of the people, rather than relying on allopathy medicine, they were very much interested to rely on natural medicine that is called Ayurveda. Many people are very much interested to go for Ayurveda in the recent times. Okay, these are all the different contributions of our ancient people. Not only that, if you take trading, trading has been started in the ancient time. We exported gold to the foreign countries in the ancient times. And not only that, the trading had been done through coins in the ancient time. We adopted the same thing in the name of a currency in the modern civilization. These are all the significant contributions of ancestors of India. So that is what I'm trying to tell you. We are constructing the modern civilization on the foundations of ancient civilization, on the roots of ancient civilization. If you really want to understand our modern civilization or modern knowledge, we have to see through the lens of ancient India. So this is in brief about lesson number 1, the basic view of Indian knowledge system. Now we have already completed lesson number 2, modes of knowledge transmission during the ancient time. I have already mentioned that our ancient India was the repository of knowledge. But how that knowledge has been transferred from one person to other person, or one group to other group, or one generation to other generation. How did they do? They have followed 10 important significant methods. What are they? Number 1, learning from a teacher, Guru Sishya Parampara. During the ancient times, knowledge has been transmitted to the Sishyas through Gurus. If any Sishya or a student would like to learn something from the Guru, they will go to the Gurukulas, request the Gurus to learn something from them. If they have accepted their request, and the Sishyas will be living with Gurus in Gurukulas and they will learn from them. Whatever the knowledge the Gurus have, they used to transfer the knowledge, to the Sishyas. That is one of the methods of knowledge transmission in ancient India. And what is the second one? Oral traditions. That is nothing but learning by listening. Okay. Our ancestors strongly believed that the knowledge can be remembered for a long time through songs and chants. So whatever the knowledge was there in the ancient time, they loved to transmit the knowledge in the form of oral songs. The best way is nothing but Harikadas. Okay, even in the modern civilization also we have Harikadas during the festivals. The group of people would gather in one particular place. Okay, in the form of Harikadas, they were going to narrate the mythological stories of Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas. So that is the way the knowledge of the ancient times has been transmitted to the group of people through oral traditions. And the third one, learning by writing. In the later years, in the ancient times, they firmly believed that our precious knowledge has to be carried out to the future generations. Keeping that intention in their mind, our ancient scholars started writing the manuscripts, preserving their precious knowledge in the form of manuscripts. By using that only, we have been learning many things from our ancient people. So they used to write everything on the palm leaves. Ayurveda is one of them. Whatever the knowledge and the natural medicines were there in Ayurveda, everything has been written on the palm leaves, and we are using for treating the patients now by using Ayurveda techniques. That is another way of transmitting the knowledge in the ancient times. And the fourth one, performing arts as learning. You know that image gives more impact. Performance gives more impact. It registers for a long time. So rather than reading something from the books actually, or listening to something, through performance, through acting, through dance performance, we can remember the stories for a long time. So our ancestors have followed this technique. So whatever the knowledge was there, something related to mythologies, epics and all, they used to perform that information in the form of different dance forms. There are many dance forms have been originated in the ancient times, such as Bharatanatyam, Kadakali, Kuchipudi. There are many dance forms were used to narrate the stories and mythological stories also. Okay. So arts have been used as one of the ways of transmitting the knowledge in the ancient times. And dialogue and debate. In Gurukulas, actually, the gurus are going to conduct some debates among Sishyas. What is the importance of the debate? It helps to enhance logical and critical thinking among the students. And most importantly, the students are going to share their knowledge among each other. Debate is one of the best methods for improving language skills and communication skills in the modern civilization also. If you take campus placement drives, actually, debate is one of the important rounds in the recruitment process, where the students are going to share their knowledge. They logically argue with the other students in the form of a debate, which was adopted from our ancient India. Observation and imitation is another best way of transmitting the knowledge in the ancient times. The best example is nothing but the life of Ekalavya, the Dronacharya, the guru who rejected to teach him archery. Then Ekalavya, with his lot of commitment and dedication, okay, he started observing the guru's teachings to the other students in a very far distance, and he learned from him through his observations, and he became as an expert in archery. So observation and imitation was the best way for transmitting the knowledge in the ancient time. Not only that, the kings would like to participate in the warfare. Okay, so they would like to learn different war games such as sword fights and all. The gurus are going to show them, and these people are going to imitate them and observe them, and they were trying to adopt that skill, enhance that skill. So observation and imitation is one of the best ways of transmitting the knowledge in the ancient times. Pilgrimages, traveling are the other modes of knowledge transmission in the ancient time. So during the ancient times, actually, our ancestors used to travel to the different pilgrimages where they are going to share their culture with the other people. They are going to share their knowledge with the others. And not only that, through the traveling from one place to other place also, they are going to learn many things. You know, one tradition was there in the ancient times in Gurukulas. Okay, one Gurukula students would go to the other Gurukulas actually and will have a debate with them and interactions with them. What is the importance of it? So that they are going to share their knowledge with each other in different Gurukulas. So through travel, through pilgrimages, okay, they transmitted the knowledge in the ancient time. Community-based learning is one of the methods of knowledge transmission. At the time of festivals, actually, the village leaders, elderly personalities in the village, they gather all people in that particular village and celebrate the festival. They explain the importance of our culture and rituals, and they make them to understand how to perform it. And that is carried out to the next generations also. That is why we are performing pujas individually without taking the help of the priest, even in our home. How does it possible? Because that knowledge has been carried forward to the next generations by our ancestors. Symbolism, visual representation. Temples are the best examples for them. Have you ever seen our ancient temples? Actually, all the knowledge was carved on the walls of the temple. The lifestyle of the ancestors, the birth process. There are many things have been carved on the walls of the temples. So, visual representation, temples are the best examples for that. Ancient temples are the best examples for that. And mnemonic techniques, what does it mean by that? Drilling through rhymes, chants, is one of the best ways of transmitting the knowledge and convey the morals to the students in the ancient times. Through rhymes, actually, our ancestors used to induce the morals and ethical values in the students. The same technique has been adopted even in the modern civilization. Have you ever remember that there is a rhyme in English actually, Johnny, Johnny, yes, Papa, eating sugar, no, Papa. We are thinking that it is just a poetic rhyme. But if you observe the meaning of it, actually, it is suggesting a moral that don't eat too much of sugar, which is not good for health. So this is a technique has been adopted by our ancestors. So these are all the different modes of knowledge transmission we have in ancient India. These are the two lessons we had a detailed discussion in the previous class. Now we will move on to the lesson number 3, Vedic Corpus, which is the foundation of Indian wisdom. So in this lesson, we will have a detailed discussion on what is Vedic Corpus, and we have 4 Vedas actually. What is the purpose of 4 Vedas? We will have a detailed discussion now. Let's proceed to lesson number 3. Now, let's proceed to know what is Vedic corpus. What is Vedic corpus? The Vedic corpus is a collection of the oldest sacred texts of India. So these are the oldest books of ancient India which were written in Sanskrit and which form the foundation of Indian knowledge, philosophy, rituals, and spiritual thought. I have already mentioned, even in the previous lectures also, Vedas, which are the wisdom of ancient people. They were written 3000 years ago. They contain ideas about the universe, life, ethics, and rituals. So, in brief, what does it mean by Vedic corpus? Vedic corpus are the books which were written 3000 years ago, which are considered as the foundations of Indian knowledge and wisdom. The Vedic corpus mainly consists of four Vedas. What are the four Vedas we have? Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda. So, in the coming slides, we will have a detailed discussion on each and every Veda in detail. Let's proceed with the first Veda, which is called Rigveda. What is Rigveda? In one single sentence, we can say that Rigveda is the treasure of ancient lyrical songs. It is a book of lyrical songs in the ancient time. The lyrics which were written thousands of years ago. And what is the importance of these lyrics actually? And which we call them as hymns, which talk about the universe, the order of the nature, and how to lead a good life. They strictly follow Rita while they were writing these lyrical songs. What does it mean by Rita? In short, we call it as a cosmic rule book. It is almost like an Indian constitution to guide us to lead the life in a right way. Even Rita also suggests the same to our ancestors, how to lead a life in a right manner. RTA, which is pronounced as a Rita, which means the natural order of the universe. In the previous lectures also have already mentioned that our ancestors always loved to follow the nature, always loved to live with the nature. They never be against to nature. So whatever the order of the nature was there, which was suggested by Rita. Okay, and our ancestors strictly follow Rita during the ancient times. The Rigveda talks about Rita only, and all lyrical songs were talking and suggesting something about Rita. If everyone follows Rita strictly, which suggests doing the right thing in life and nature, they will have a peaceful and happy life in this universe and nature. That is what the Rita is suggesting. That is what the lyrical songs of Rigveda has been suggesting. That's why I told that it is almost like a constitution which will guide, the ancestors for a light living with the nature. Okay, it talks about how sun rises, how sun sets actually. It talks about the seasons. Okay, change of seasons and what they're supposed to do in the change of seasons. It talks about rivers, why they flow, and plants, what is their purpose to grow. All these things have been in detail explained in a book called Rigveda. So, in short, we call it as the treasure of ancient lyrical songs. What do the hymns teach us? I told you already, Rigveda is a book of hymns. Hymns are nothing but songs, the lyrical songs, which were written thousands of years ago in the form of a book. Okay, a prestigious book, an ancient knowledge that is called Rigveda. They teach importance of truth in life. It always suggests to the ancestors, always try to be truthful to one another. They believe everything is interconnected in the universe. The very beginning of the first lecture, I have already mentioned that. One of the key features of IKS is nothing but holistic. They always believe that everything in this universe is interrelated and interconnected. So it also teaches the same. In this universe, you have to strictly follow the order of the universe. The order of the nature, you should not violate it. You should not violate the rules of the nature, the rules of the universe. If you violate, you may not be peaceful. So that is the reason, if you really want to be peaceful in your life, you have to follow the Rita very carefully. Rita means doing the right things according to the order of the nature and universe. The person who is going to violate these things, then automatically he is going to face a struggle in this universe. He cannot lead a peaceful life. It teaches to maintain balance in life. We have already discussed that our ancestors always believed that every creature on this earth has a right to live. We need to respect their living. We need to respect their space. That is the reason our ancestors always loved to develop small groves also. That is nothing but forest, which they treat them as god and goddess. They don't want to cut the trees actually. They always love to live with the nature. They protect the animals. They protect the trees. Okay. And they preserve the rainwater. All these things are being suggested and guided by the book called Rigveda in the form of lyrical songs. So that is in brief about Rigveda under the canopy of Vedic Corpus, book number 1. So what is Rigveda? Rigveda is a book of lyrical songs which were written thousands of years ago. It is almost like a constitution which always suggests our ancestors to live a right life and being the part of the nature without violating its rules. That is what Rigveda. What is Yajurveda? It is the Veda of rituals and actions. You all know that at the time of festival celebrations, for example, Ugadi is there, Ganapati Puja is there. Individually, we are performing puja without the help of the priest at home. How does it possible? This Yajurveda was suggesting that. Okay, through Yajurveda, our ancestors have suggested us, and those guidelines have carried out to the coming generations or next generations, and we are implementing the same when we are performing the puja at our homes. So, what is exactly Yajurveda? Yajurveda is nothing but it is a book of rituals and actions. How to perform pujas. What are the chants we need to say during the pujas? And how to perform the pujas in a step-by-step process. Everything would explain in a book called Yajurveda. The Yajurveda is like a special instruction book for doing Hindu rituals and prayers, especially during fire ceremonies called yagnas. In the ancient times, they were very much interested to perform yagnas. For example, if there is no rainwater, immediately they do yagnas. They perform yagna, okay, and they pray the rain, the god of rain. And after yagnas, actually, they had rains. So they had a trust on it. So Yajurveda is nothing but it is a book of rituals and actions. It suggests and guided us, okay, how to perform the rituals and what kind of chants we need to say during the rituals and how to perform the puja in a step-by-step process. It is a book of ritual actions. It tells what to say, what are the chants, and what are the songs we need to say, and what to do during the puja or ritual. Explains in a very, very step-by-step process. Example, when we do Diwali Puja, we light the lamps and say prayers. The Yajurveda tells how such action should be done properly in a step-by-step process. So if you are performing puja during the time of Diwali or Ganapati Puja or Navaratri Puja or whatever, all Hindu pujas, it explains, the book explains how to perform the pujas in a step-by-step process. And what kind of chants we need to say during the time. Everything is being explained in a book called Yajurveda. That's why this book is named as it is a book of rituals and actions. It is a ritual manual. It gives both mantras, what mantras and chants we need to say. And it also explains how to perform the ritual or puja in a step-by-step process. Okay, actions to perform. Imagine you are following a recipe for a cake. Yajurveda gives both ingredients, mantras and method. That is nothing but actions. It's an example. So when you are doing cake actually, so what kind of ingredients we need to mix, okay, to make the cake, and what are the steps we need to follow in the process of preparing the cake. Similarly, Yajurveda also suggests the same. If you really want to perform the puja on the occasion of any festival, or if you would like to perform yajna at your home, it explains how to perform puja. So, what are the mantras we need to say? What are the chants we need to say during the time of the puja? All these things, it clearly explains that. So, Yajurveda is a book, it is a Veda of rituals and actions. Now, third point, it is a priest guidebook. You know that whenever there is a festival, or else if you are inaugurating a home actually, then immediately we are going to invite the priest actually, and he would perform the puja and some yagnas at home. Okay, it is a guidebook to the priest also, not only to the individuals. It was mainly used by priests called Adar Advaryu, a helper priest, who sets up the fire ranges, arranges the materials, follows the step-by-step process. So I have already mentioned that it is a guidebook. It explains how to perform the puja in a step-by-step process. Like how a stage assistant sets everything before the play, this priest prepares the ritual. The priest is almost like a stage assistant. What is the responsibility of a stage assistant before the performance? He will arrange all the required things there. Similarly, the priest also will arrange all the required things for puja and for ritual. And after that, we perform the puja. It is a kind of a guidebook. It explains the step-by-step process of ritual. So, what kind of materials are required? Okay, what kind of stage we need to arrange? Everything is to done. Okay, by following the guidelines of this guidebook called Yajurveda. Spiritual connection. The rituals are not just actions, they are the ways to say thank you to the nature. Because why we are performing the puja and ritual? For example, you constructed a house, and immediately or at the time of inauguration of your house, actually, you do puja to the god or perform ritual to the god because you are saying thank you to the god for giving this option or opportunity to build a house for your family. So it is a kind, rituals are nothing but saying thanks to the gods, respecting the god, and showing our gratitude to the god. It is connected with the universe. It is a spiritual connection with the god. For example, offering ghee into the fire during the yajna is like a giving back, okay, to the sun and earth for their gifts. It is a kind of a gift you're giving to them for providing all these things, for making us to live happily on this earth. So, such a kind of a spiritual connection we have with this universe, with this nature. Okay. So, through pujas, we are showing our respect and gratitude to the nature, universe, and God. That's why it is our responsibility to showcase our gratitude by performing puja. And this Yajurveda is a book of rituals and actions. It always suggests how to do it properly. It is a guidebook even to the priest also. The priest will act like an assistant who will arrange all the required things before the performance of puja. Now, the third one, Samaveda. What is Samaveda? It is a Veda of songs and music. I'll make it very clear. Samaveda is nothing but, you know what is Rigveda? Rigveda is nothing but a book of lyrical songs which were written thousands of years ago. And these songs generally used at the time of performing pujas. Right? And Samaveda is adding the music to that. Whatever the lyrics were there in Rigveda, those lyrics were added some music to that and making them as a prayer songs to perform in, okay, and use them at the time of rituals and while performing puja. Samaveda is like a musical book of prayers. So I have already mentioned that whatever the lyrics were there in Rigveda, and the lyrics were converted by adding a music to that and make them as a prayer songs, which are generally used while we are performing rituals and pujas. It takes many hymns from Rigveda and turns them into prayer songs. And what is the purpose of these prayer songs? we generally use them while we are performing pujas, while we are showing our gratitude to the nature and universe and God by performing these rituals. These songs were sung during big rituals to please the gods, okay, by showing our gratitude to them. This is called Samaveda. Samaveda is nothing but it is a book of songs adding music to that. It is a musical transformation. Samaveda turns poems into songs. I've already mentioned that. Whatever the lyrical poems were there in Rigveda, which were converted them into songs by adding music to that. You know, for example, if we take a movie, there is a lyric writer. He is going to draft some lyrics. He's going to write some lyrics on the song. And what the music director is going to do, he will add music to that and make it like a beautiful song. This is what Samaveda. It is almost like a music director. So whatever the lyrics were there in Rigveda, those lyrics were converted into songs by adding music to that, rhythm to that. And what is the purpose of these songs, which we use them while we are performing pujas or rituals? A hymn praising the sun, God. God is sung like a prayer song with the music. I have already told that these songs were generally used to perform pujas. During the time of pujas, in the name of praying God, we use these songs. This is about Samaveda. The last Veda in the Vedic corpus is called Atharvaveda, the Veda of everyday life. In a very simple sentence, I could say it is the rule book of lifestyle of our ancestors. How to live, how to respect the nature, how to follow the order of the universe, how to follow the right living. Okay, when to wake up, when to sleep, what kind of food we're supposed to eat. Everything. It is a kind of a rule book for our daily life in the ancient times. Atharvaveda teaches us how to live happy, healthy, and good life. It talks about medicine, good behavior, rules of the society, and spiritual thoughts. So, what kind of medicine is supposed to take, which is interconnected with Ayurveda? Because you know that very well, our ancestors always rely on natural medicine that is called Ayurveda. It gives the knowledge about it. And good behavior, what kind of a behavior we have to maintain with the elderly people, what kind of behavior we have to maintain with the teachers. It teaches us, it guides us. It is a rule book of society, how to live with the others in the society, how to respect others, how to lead the life with others, how to maintain good relationship with others, how to maintain some good interpersonal communication skills with others. All these things are being suggested by this book. And it also talks something about spiritual thoughts. Always try to show your gratitude to the nature and God. It is like a guidebook for real life situations. That's the reason I've already mentioned that. It is a rule book of your daily life. How to lead a daily life in a right manner, this book is going to suggest us in the ancient times. So these are the four Vedas. Each Veda has its own significance. So let's conclude this lesson. So in this lesson, we had a discussion on what is Vedic corpus. So Vedic corpus is nothing but the ancient wisdom and knowledge which was preserved in the form of four books. We call it as Vedic corpus. What are the four books included in the Vedic corpus? They are four Vedas. What are the four Vedas we have? Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda. Each Veda has its own significance. What is Rigveda? It is a book of lyrical songs which were written thousands of years ago, which talks about universe, nature, values, and all. It strongly believes Rita. Rita means what? A right way of living. So whatever the order of the nature is there, Rita always suggests the ancestors to follow it strictly. If you violate the order of the nature, you will be in trouble. You may not have a peaceful life. So if you really want to have a peaceful life, the Rigveda always try to suggest that you need to strictly follow Rita, a right living. Yajurveda, it is a book of rituals and prayers. At the time of occasions and festivals, if you would like to perform the rituals and prayers, okay, this Yajurveda always suggests us. It explains what are the chants and mantras we need to say at the time of the ritual, and what kind of steps we need to follow to perform the ritual. Everything is being explained in a Veda called Yajurveda. It is a guidebook even to the priest also. The priest will act like an assistant who will arrange all the required materials and things before performing puja. And Samaveda and Rigveda and Samaveda are interconnected. How? The lyrical songs of Rigveda were converted into prayer songs by adding music to that in Samaveda. That's the reason I told that Rigveda and Samaveda are interlinked. And the last one is Atharvaveda. It is a rule book of our daily life in the ancient times. It suggests what is the right way of living according to the order of the nature. So, this is the end of the third lesson, the Vedic Corpus, the foundations of Indian